Welcome, everybody, to the Onward VR Master League Week 8 of Season 11. My name's Nightfire with 2 E's, and I'm joined by my co-caster Theta for a excellent matchup today. It is Blaze versus STR1VE-GAMING, 2 top-tier teams in the Onward VRML ladder. And Theta, I want to get your thoughts on this matchup today, because it's going to be exciting.
Oh, it certainly is. So everybody knows Blaze brings the heat, so to speak, on every match. You can tell that they have that sort of gunslinger attitude. They didn't ban anything today because they're just ready for anything. And STR1VE-GAMING is a team that's up and coming. They're rising up the ranks. So I think this is going to be a fantastic, exciting butting of heads between 2 very aggressive teams.
Yeah, the no ban, an interesting choice, leaving the map pool open. And, you know, one thing I love to talk about is in Season 11 how the sort of everything works, I suppose. If maybe you're unfamiliar with what you're even tuning in here today for, this is Onward. It is a 5 versus 5 military simulator, search and destroy game mode. One team tries to plant a bomb at an objective, the other team defends. It's that simple. You defend the objective, you get a point, you plant the bomb, you get 2. And today, with how things work in our league, we have picks, bans, and really it comes down to there's a lot of really high-level decision-making that comes into effect here. And Theta, I mean, you would be one to know. You're playing on a top-tier team.
Sure. Yeah, this is a game that requires a lot of thought and foresight, and you also have to mix it in quite a bit with, like I said, pure aggression. You have to know when to turn that switch on. And both of these teams, I think, are at least Blaze, I'm very familiar with. I know they're very good at flicking that switch.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been doing this for a while now, and Blaze has been a team that we do know. We've watched them over the course of several seasons. STR1VE is a team that really, I don't think anybody has any eyes on. They haven't had a single game of theirs cast yet, but they have gone on a 4-game win streak. And, you know, they had a little bit of a rough patch there in the middle of the season. They had a 3-game losing streak, but since then they've been playing really good, and I feel like maybe now they're kind of getting a bit of a test for themselves as a team. Can they compete against a squad that is known to be competitive at the high level?
Sure, and there are some veterans mixed in there. For example, Lon Wick played on Vikings in Season 1. He hasn't played since Season 2, but anybody that's been playing since then, you cannot underestimate. And Blaze has been around since Season 4. So this is a whole crew of veterans. These guys are very dangerous against anybody. So for me, that's really the thing that's going to be cool to watch, is how these two mix it up based on that.
Yeah, and I mean, talk about, being around for a while. The map they've chosen is Cargo, and Cargo has been in this game for some time as well. And so Blaze are going to be very comfortable on this map. They're going to be very confident on this map. They're not, you know, they have the understanding, they have the strats already formed. They're not going to go in wondering what's going to happen. If anything, STR1VE maybe has an advantage here, simply because they don't know what to expect out of this STR1VE team. And I mean, we don't either at the desk here today, Theta. I'm really curious to see how they play Cargo, which is, you know, historically known as one of, if not the closest quarters map, and I think holds the record for the fastest round time, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you're correct. And also there's an interesting wrinkle because Naoko's on Blaze, and he is famous for his pistol play. Cargo is really the map to showcase that. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention that and say I predict some pistol kills on this.
Well, yeah, but the pistol came into the most effect when the shield was an element that he could accompany that pistol with. And now the shield out in Season 11. It's been in the VRML for 10 seasons, and this is the first season. Well, not for 10. For however long it's been in the game, it's been around. It's had its ups and downs, but for it to be out here in Season 11 has definitely impacted how teams strategize and how they approach these objectives. That even though they've known them for a long time, there's still that variety when your utility kit gets changed. Smokes are in effect here. We've definitely seen those get deployed on Cargo to great effect. In the C4, another utility item that the defense can use that really comes in handy when you want to just defend an angle without really exposing yourself. And so all of these different things we're going to be seeing here on Cargo for sure. I would be surprised if we don't see some good C4 placements from both teams.
Sure. Yeah, this is just like you said, we don't know much about STR1VE, but I know Blaze loves CQB, and they know how to use all the tools of CQB, including utility and explosives, like you mentioned.
Yeah, you know, this really is, I feel like a bit of an underdog story here. Coming in from STR1VE-GAMING to go up against Blaze, it's going to be tough. Blaze is a team that can play aggressive. They play at the high level. I'm looking at ranks. They are in the Diamond tier, ranked 13th. Strive is ranked 20th. And so what I think's really, again, what I said here is they're on this win streak, and Strive is breaking into the top 20. And we've talked about this before, Theta, and I think the top 20 right now is so competitive. I mean, there are so many teams in the top 20 of the ladder in the Onward in the VRML that you know, you can show me any game in there and I'm excited to watch it. It's gonna be good. And so this is really Strive's test here to go up against a team that's in the top 20.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Excuse me, frog in my throat. But right now, the top 20 is truly a murderer's row. Yeah. And for any new team, any new players, it's intimidating because there's no bad teams in that list. The league has just gotten large enough, and I think as we progress, we're going to see the VRML get even bigger. It's going to get to the point where, like, the top 30, the top 50, whatever, it's going to be hard to break in. So this is a fantastic time to be tuning in and watching, because this league, I think, is about to explode and get even more competitive in the coming seasons.
Yeah, I'm sure folks are yelling at us to start the game, and I think that is actually partially on my end. I've told the squads to fire up this first round of the game, and looking at the active rosters for today, coming in from Blaze, we have Zero, Pasquin, Nautgo, Kitten Mittens, and Pig on Pink, or Pig on PC in 4K. Oh, wow, that was a doozy, Theta. Over on Strive, we have Lonwick, Bizachu, Toxic Boss, Farrer, and Crimson King. And yeah, those names, you know, Lonwick, again, familiar, but the rest I'm not familiar with, simply because we haven't casted them. And well, now they are getting put up on the stage front and center. They're out in there in front of the venue's audience, in front of all the folks hanging out on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. We appreciate everyone tuning in here today for the action. Let's get underway, Theta. Let's dive into round one.
And already Zero is taking control of the center. It looks like Blaze is holding back a little bit, trying to feel out Strive, see if they're going to try for some flanks or anything. But Strive holding strong on what is their left side of the map.
Yeah, and these smokes really putting up a big smoke screen here. Bizachu's prone, and he was waiting for that push out. Zero goes down. Another kill happens up in the Diamond of Death. A tough space to hold, and now Farrer is in a bit of a bind as Pasquin and Nautgo are pinching him on both sides. He tries to back out, but Nautgo disrupts that rotation, and Lon's looking for the refrag up and over, and he finds it. Pasquin also on the hunt for his refrag as well, and Biza just playing it stealthier, playing it quiet, holding his objectives, waiting for the moment there. As soon as Kitten crosses, he goes down. No cap opportunity coming through, and we are down to 1 for Blaze. Strive doing a great job of shutting down the entry coming in from Blaze and ultimately forcing it into what could be a 2v2 if Pig can get the res.
Wow. Yeah, if Bez had no way of knowing this, but if he popped around that corner, that's a double kill right there. And now instead it is 2v1. STR1VE-GAMING at the disadvantage. Crimson King doing all he can to watch that objective. He can get capped on around that corner, so he's going to have to keep popping it.
Great pickup there, and Pig misreads. He's hunting for the shot over the Baron, doesn't find it, and Crimson ultimately getting the double. That was great play coming in there from Blaze to get the res like they did and then swing around. And you know what happened there is Bees got distracted by the one player. He thought there was only one left alive. I'm sure they had a relatively accurate kill count. Granted, the chaos was pretty hectic, but he thought that there was the person pushing in from his end. He didn't even hear the swing around from behind. And so just a great pinch there to get the 2v1 set up, but then a great hold. And I'm surprised that position doesn't get checked, Theta, because that is a pretty common defensive spot to tuck into when you're the last alive.
Well, just in the heat of the moment, like you were saying, sometimes you can kind of forget your own mental checks. Every player has sort of an algorithm they go through when they're watching angles, or as they're attacking, I should say. And it's just like, okay, spot 1, spot 2, spot 3. But if you're going fast, there's lots of gunfire on, there's smoke. You start to maybe skip some of those steps because you just don't have the mental capacity to do it in that moment. So Yeah, I've certainly been there myself. I'm sure you have as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we we have the luxury of sitting in our chairs and watching from a top-down perspective. These players are in the action, and obviously gets much more extreme when you're in the game and you have to make those on-the-fly decisions when the bullets are actually coming at your head and you have to duck down and duck into cover. And so, yeah, can't blame anyone there from Blaze, but Strive. I mean, hey, off to a great start. Like I said, a solid defensive setup there that ultimately shuts down what was looking like a pretty well set up entry. I mean, plenty of smoke coverage on objective Theta, a lot of room to work with, and ultimately just a couple of gaps that they couldn't get through.
Yeah, I think we're off to a fantastic start for this match.
Round number 2 kicking off here. Blaze going on the defense, and the pressure instantly applied just like that. Strive doing great to come out and lock in their advantage on this map with the full cold, and now Naukow's looking up to get a little bloodthirsty early as he pushes up into a pretty forward defensive position.
Naoko is in a position to get substantial damage in on the other team if they decide to push his position, as they are all concentrated around that center.
There's a tight grouping, and I would think they'd check up over the top of the crate there. And if anything, they're avoiding that doorway. They don't want to approach it. Naoko's going to swing out and get aggressive. That pays off. Quick refrag teaches Naoko a lesson in over-aggression as he goes to go for that full confirm, and he goes down.
Down one next to
Just like that, we're trading back and forth down the tunnels and on top of objective. Kitten finds another, and Blaze able to shut down the Strive entry for now. Fair and Toxic into a 2v4.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking at the map, and Blaze has sort of given up on the middle of the map. They're staying pretty far away. They're holding very good angles around the objective, but aside from the one player in the far back kind of just popping in and out to check the center, there's really not much action over there. They're not playing a particularly aggressive defense here, which with this kind of substantial numerical advantage, I don't blame them. It's actually the smart move in a lot of ways.
It is a bit of a double strat, though. You know, they sent the one far forward. Pasquin's tucked in over in the corner there. You almost don't even see him, but he's extended a little bit up. And then the rest of the three, to your point, are very back. They're very passive, and so they've created a very large kill box around the objective. It's not necessarily tight, but it is a box that is covering the appropriate angles, and it is, well, so far pretty difficult for Strive to get through. We're gonna have to go over to Toxic to see if he can get rid of one of these lines of this box, and it does seem like he's very well known. You can see Pasquin peeking those corners on the hunt for it, and the same goes for Pasquin. A good flash comes out and around. I don't think it catches him, though. There's a big pickup coming in there from Toxic Boss. That's him one and sets him up for more. Kitten falls down, and under the commotion, Fair has found an opportunity to also advance. Pig has to rotate now since he's the last defender, and Fair has got this line covered and clear. Strive in a 2v4 with Toxic and Fair come back and have a 2-0 lead.
What a wild round. 2v4, and they just systematically took apart that defense. Toxic Boss, I think, took down 3 on his own, and then Ferrer with that cleanup kill at the end. Yeah, that's a tough round for sure. But, you know, not the end of the day. It's still 2-0, which means plenty of opportunity for a comeback for Blaze, especially, I would argue, on this objective. You know, this one is I would argue, a little bit easier to think about, not as many crossings you have to deal with. So Blaze definitely not out of the game yet.
No, not at all. And a team like Blaze, they are very capable of, you know, riding the ship, so to speak, and bouncing back. And as we get over to this crate objective, things do get a little bit dicier, I would say. I feel like that objective is easy to defend, and so it's surprising to see the Marsucker how it gets secured by Strive there in the end. But with this objective, it certainly lends itself to a very passive defense, and if Blaze set up in a similar fashion to how they did on that last objective, they'll find success. Of course, they have to attack here first, and I'm wondering if they're going to try and go in for some kind of cap play, if they're going to try and apply smokes on the proper gaps and push in through that, or if we'll sort of see either your run-of-the-mill battle in the midfield for footing, and then eventually the push towards objective.
I'm wondering the same thing. Blaze has historically been that team that's very good at the smoke and rush cap, so might see something like that come out here.
Right, and if you're Strive, you know, from Strive's perspective, I'm assuming they've done their homework here. Plenty of footage to look at if you want to know how Blaze plays, and they should be able to apply that in their sort of strategizing, their weekly strategy meeting that I'm sure they hold. No, I'm kidding. Not all teams necessarily go that extra mile, but when you get into the top 20, it does certainly help, and we're seeing teams really take it to the next level in that top 10 even, where they got specific focused players on strategizing, and it's great to see. I love to see the development again of the league, of players getting better, and certainly, well, something to behold here as Strive are so far in a nice, comfortable 2-0 lead, and honestly forcing Blaze to play passive. You know, we talked up Blaze being an aggressive team, but here they are waiting for the push to come through from Strive.
And first shots turn into a trade between Toxic and Zero. It's like Zero's completely out, Toxic's still resable.
I'm resable.
That's a pretty dicey spot for a revive if anybody is attacking, but might be able to get away with it right now, just because there's nobody really in position to get a refrag.
Yeah, that timeline is not a lot. Naoko's going to have an angle soon, and so they got to get the res here before he pushes up and has control from the doorway.
I think Strive is just going to opt to keep him as a call-out machine for the moment. Nobody wants to run out and risk a refrag.
Yeah, again, you might not be familiar with the mechanics of what you're seeing here today, but, you know, Toxic Boss is downed, and so he's able to radio into his team, but not play or shoot. So he can still see, albeit a bit grayed out, and can radio in information from his perspective. Lon Wick, I think that's a C4 detonation? No, that was a nade toss over there, caught Naoko.
Yeah, what a toss.
Mine's one.
Oh no, and Blaze is dropping like flies. The peeks out from the corner are coming through. The smoke's almost an indicator for Strive to peek their angles and take out the Blaze entry. It's left Pig all alone in a 1v4, and hey, we've seen some good plays come through, but with Toxic there to radio in every movement that comes in across that gap, it's gonna be a tough one.
And if he makes this cross, Crimson King is watching that line. Ooh, and he just gets out of that with his life.
Oh.
Good revive, though. Now they have a much better chance of coming back.
It's north of tunnel.
Information radioed in there from Crimson King to his team. Going to convey that res that has come through. I wonder if he saw Pig come in, because I think he dipped around the corner to calm, and then Pig pushed up, and so maybe an advantage here? No. Crimson evening back the odds. Naoko out on the hunt for kills of his own, and the 1v3 now slowly evened out. The res is available still on to Toxic, so it could be turned into a 1v4, but Toxic bleeds out, no longer resable, and we are now into the 1v3 with Naoko up against Crimson Fair and Lonwick. Lonwick doing some good work of peeking around and finding some kills already today.
That's a pretty disciplined play by Strive Gaming. They
Yeah.
could have just rushed out and tried for that revive, but they knew it was risky. They knew they had the advantage, and they just said, we're going to leave him there.
Oh my goodness, and Naukau tries to drop back, but the comms from Fair indicate for Lon Wick to peek out, and he catches him just swinging out of the doorway. Strive have a 3-0 lead against Blaze. This is the underdog story coming to fruition here. This is ranked 20 versus ranked 13, winning right now. Hats off to Strive. They're looking really crisp right now.
They are. I have to say, I'm impressed so far. They're playing very well. And also, I just have to be the guy to say it. Like, it's not over yet.
Sure.
3-0. You know, it's not over till you hit that 4 or that 5. So Blaze is not out of it quite yet.
Now, and like I said, this objective is, I think, going to lend itself to that Blaze defense. Truthfully, they just set up like Strive did there. I think they'll find success. Strive's defense was very reserved. It was great. Like you said, they didn't even push out for the res. You know, really trusting in their angles and ultimately coming out on top. And if Blaze do the same, I think they'll find success as well. And then it's going to come down to where do we go from here. There are some wild objectives left. There's the Diamond of Death objective and the objective on the other side of this crate, which we've seen capped more times than not. At some, you know, and some, for some teams, it's a, like you said, a play that Blaze can certainly orchestrate. And I think it's stuff like that that really would get them on the board here. Because I feel like if they came in with a heavy smoke play that was well played, you know, with well-placed smoke, and I'm thinking as I say that, well, they did get shut down as they tried to smoke out earlier. But you know, I think maybe that's going to be the trick. Really, just try and overwhelm them with coordination, and even then, it's going to be tough. Just how Strive have been playing here.
No doubt, this defense is critical, not just because it's map point, but because if they defend it, they will potentially get into one of those more open objectives where I think they will have a pretty good chance of getting a cap, and that would put them at a 3-3 if they did that. If they got one defense and one cap, for anybody that's unfamiliar, a cap is 2 points instead of 1 on the board. So that would be the opening to tie it up.
Opening up here with round 4. 0 pushing up. An aggressive forward position, showing Blaze still confident in what they know how to do. You know, they are not afraid to get aggressive even when they are down 3-0 on their map pick. And, well, so far it hasn't been going very good, but maybe they can right this ship a little bit here. A lot of nades getting dispersed out, and I think they're trying to frag that far back corner. They're trying to get rid of any yellow building defenders, and to the credit of Blaze, 0 is not there. He's instead pushed up in a bit of a different spot.
Yeah, right now, Strive Gaming really clustered in the center. I'm a little surprised I don't see more utility coming out from Blaze, because if they started nading the center, this would be a pretty bad round for Strive at the moment.
The call-out has come through for the advancement. A smoke is placed, and it's pretty well tossed, honestly. A good little block there from Kitten shutting him down. 0's advanced spot has caught one, and now this whole Strive offense has to wonder what's going to happen to them, as Farrer does a great job of shutting down what could have been bad news. A couple getting picked up here in the midfield as the push comes in from Strive, and we're into a 3v3. Pasquin's position is going to be key. Uh-oh. That's bad news for Blaze. Pask pushes up, gets over-aggressive, and the same happens on the other side. Farrer finds another, and now Pig is in an awkward position, tucked in behind some unsavory protection, and he has to push out to an easy kill. 3 left alive for Strive on offense as they lock in a 4-0 map 1 against Blaze. Maybe we got to look at this team a little bit harder today, Theta, because that was impressive.
No kidding. And I have to say, not just an underdog, but if you look at the voting today, Blaze was favored 58-16. That is a massive difference between the two. But I think after today, at the very least, regardless of what happens, even if Blaze comes back, people are going to have to take these guys more seriously now. Yeah,
it's, you know, I don't know, not to get onto the soapbox, but you know, this is season 11, and with all the new that we're seeing, there's a lot of new players too, and these new players are coming in with coordination and dedication that is deserved of the top 20, if not the top 10. And you know, you look at a team like Air 404, who, at least last I checked, had a map win against Peacekeepers in their series. I think they're still playing now, if you want to catch that on Twitch. But it's just so great to see. And I mean, again, looking at Strive and listening in, their communication and their coordination is wonderful. I mean, a high coordination you'd expect out of a high-level team, all pushing up together. They have one shot caller. I mean, this subway map, which is where we're headed for map 2, is not going to be easy for Blaze. I expect equal coordination. And when you think about subway, you know what I always think about? Multiple entries. Most objectives have 2, 3, if not 4 ways to enter in and approach it. And if you can sync up your multiple entries, you can be very effective on this map.
For sure. Subway is that map which is pretty much tailor-made for teams that are good at encircling and timing their attacks well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because usually the newer teams aren't very good at that. That takes a lot of time and dedication in most cases, but something I've said before, I'll say it again. It's a new era now. All these new teams are showing up, and you got to take them seriously. It used to be bronze and silver and all those teams. You would just say, all right, they're going to take a few seasons to kind of, you know, get spicy, so to speak. But it's different now. These teams in their very first seasons are showing up and competing with some of the best teams in the league. So if you're a veteran player, watch out.
Yeah, no kidding. I think it's going to continue to push everything forward. When you have this new blood come in, you're going to see the old blood get fired up, and hopefully some new stuff is going to start to come out from these teams that have been around for a while. And frankly, we've been seeing it. The new map picks, we've seen some great strats there. Oddly enough, we're not seeing any new maps here. We're just seeing Strive stick to the originals, Subway being their map pick since they are away. Blaze picked the first map since they are home. And so, I don't know, man. If Strive can take this W, they've got the series. We still play out the third map, so you still got action to spectate and watch, but they are a map away from beating Blaze and ultimately jumping up in ranks a good chunk. This is going to be a big win for them.
Yeah, obviously nobody knows the exact MMR formula. That's matchmaking rank for anybody who doesn't know, but MMR is not known to the outside world. But I would suspect that if they win this, this puts them in diamond range at the very least, since Blaze is a diamond team.
Yeah, and if anything, it's putting them on the diamond team's radars right now. They're a new team that players have to be aware of now, and frankly, have no footage to go off of. They got this one game so far, and like I said, Strive have certainly displayed a great bit of coordination. Blaze, as you see in chat, not a team to roll over, though. And I'm excited to see how they defend as we get into our first round of Subway.
Straight up on Toxic.
And already Naoko getting sent on a deep flank on the south stairwell. He is not going to run into anybody, though, as far as I can tell. It looks like there's more action going into the horseshoe, with 3 Strive gamers going that way. And then, let's see, 2 in the basement.
Strive gamers? Is that...
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the plural unit for these guys.
What do you call our Blazes Blazers?
That's what I would assume, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, again, the point of spreading out, it's equally something that the defense has to do. And I mean, just you can see the defense very pulled apart. You got Naoko way over here in the south, Zero tucked in down there. And you know what? Oh, I wish... I'm curious if Naoko will eventually come in and be a flanker onto this horseshoe approach. If he decides to do that, he could find some success on shutting down this entry, but you have to play it quick. And, you know, we have the luxury of seeing things through the walls and having all of the information. And so Naoko doesn't know where this offense is. which does give him information all the nonetheless.
Well, he's about to run into Lon Wick. Lon Wick just spun around. I think Naoko was making some sound. But they are about to run into each other. Naoko right around the corner from Lon Wick.
Oh,
and he looks away at just the wrong moment.
One down basement.
classic Onward.
I'm leaving this
Yep,
now.
yep. The iron law of Onward is the moment you look away from an angle. That's when the enemy shows up and shoots you.
Gonna direct us back to the horseshoe. Bijou's dangerously close to peeking out onto Pig, and usually a flash or a nade follows up or leads the entry here out of this stairwell. And if these two line up, it could be a quick double for Pig if Crimson and Bees pop out.
Switch. Up.
There it is. The coordination's certainly there. You could hear it in the comms, but
Make that 3.
the defensive know-how from Pig shuts this down. A triple coming through, and it's not what Strive want. It's going to leave Toxic all alone, and he's got so much to worry about, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. This is not a good situation to be in. 1v5, especially on this objective where there's so much open space you have to cross to get to the objective. Nothing's impossible, but odds are not in his favor right now.
It's still underground, though, and I do think this is probably his safest approach, at least for now. His exit's going to be a doozy. There's a lot of defense up there, holding a lot of different angles, but truly, this basement entryway is going to be his best choice. You can just pick off one at a time. The 1v5 could come to fruition, but wow, it is a 1v5. Blaze have done a great job of holding here, and maybe Strive second-guessing their subway pick, especially after going up 4-0 on Cargo.
Like you said, this is a really, I would say, the best approach he could take right now, but getting out of that stairwell, if he takes any shots, they're going to surround him. And he doesn't really have time to rotate back into the basement and try anything spicy that way, so he's going to have to just fight his way out of one of these stairwells, most likely.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough exit. He's got so many different angles to worry about, and you can see him trying to check all of them as he peeks up and out here. He's clearing, but too many. Too many different angles to check. Zero. Actually, I don't know why Paskin also had an angle there, but Zero finds the final kill, and Blaze, wow, I mean, hey, lock in a ace on defense, not a single one going down.
Yeah, solid defense, and this is one of the harder objectives to defend as well, so I would say that bodes well for a potential Blaze comeback on this map.
Yeah, I mean, and, you know, we talk about a lot about the mentality that comes in, you know, your mindset at a game like this, and you really have to be able to stay focused for all 3 maps. You can't let up at any point, especially when you're in the top 20, because like we said, all of these teams in the top 20 are skilled. Blaze, even though they've lost 0-4 on Cargo, are not a team that's going to be an easy win here for Strive. It was looking that way, and I would maybe have a different tone if Strive had managed to continue to win and had 5 unanswered points, but that was the Blaze that I think we were expecting on Cargo, and ultimately they just shut down the entry from Strive.
This game is an interesting push-pull of willpower because you got to play for, in some cases, 2.5-ish hours, and no matter what happens, you just have to stay calm and not get tilted, and that means you lose your first map 4-0. You need to go into the next one as if it's a brand new world and not worry about what just happened. You have to focus and play well. And the best teams are the ones that can do that consistently. I would not be surprised if Blaze is not tilted at the moment and still, you know, laser focused on winning this.
Yeah, it is always surprising when these things happen, and you know, the other team ends up doing better on you know, the map that they haven't chosen. But you know, you have to be good at all the maps. Certain teams excel at some maps, but if you want to compete in the top 10, which is what Blaze is trying to do, they are 13th right now. You have to have skills on every map.
And already an exchange in the basement. Toxic Boss taking out Naoko. And there's 3 more Blazers, if you want to call them that, in the basement with him.
A good start, though. That's exactly what that defensive rollout was. Toxic pushing out on the hunt for an early pick, stalling the basement push. And the problem is he has so many different angles to cover. He seems to be aware of that, though. Zero goes on the hunt for the flank. Man, he finds a third. 3 kills coming in from Toxic before Blaze can cut him down, and has gotten his team into a great position. A 2v4 now.
That completely derailed that offense. One person going down in there and just doing boatloads of damage. And now I think their best option is to do pretty much what they're doing right now, which is get out of the basement. Yeah, like that. They need to realize that is no longer a viable path. It looks like that's what they're doing. They have plenty of time to work on this, but even then, uphill battle now, 4v2. It's never easy in Onward to deal with that when you're playing against a competent team.
No, and they are completely shifting their strategy. They're fortunate that they don't have a defensive, you know, offshoot here like Blaze did, because that would have certainly been effective against this rotation from Pig and Kitten. But they're not going to run into anything until they get down into that objective floor, and that might take a little bit of time, but they are setting up and rotating for it, so gotta keep an eye on them and see how it ends up coming to fruition. And still, you know, even when you look at Blaze too, you talk about the coordination from Strive, same thing on Blaze. They're both holding, you know, opposite angles. They're watching each other's backs as they push in. No one, you know, there's no double coverage, and it's a great duo play here.
Looks like they're going to go down the south stairwell. See if they can get a couple picks, maybe rotate out again. They still have 3.5 minutes, which is plenty of time to work. But Strive also playing very disciplined defense. Some teams would just go on the hunt at this point, but they're doing a good job of just hanging back and making them come to the objective.
I'll be cannon popper.
Swings into the L, and you have to make that play quick. Pretty tough to stay slow through that spot to avoid any potential shots. No one's holding this. No one's even watching this entryway into the L, though. It does put Blaze into, well, better positioning, but I say that maybe not understanding the full scope of the Strive defensive setup. They have what seems to be a decent coverage on that objective, and so they're just waiting for Blaze to push up a little bit closer.
In the meantime, Crimson King is watching this entrance. Oh, and Pig on PC picks off Bezichu. They're getting closer and closer.
Yeah, that was a big pickup. Oh my gosh, almost shoots himself there going for the smokes. And those are pretty decent smokes. They're going to shut down vision from Farrer, and you can see now Farrer has to rotate. Crimson still tucked in. He's got essentially the most effective defensive position. But the push is coming out, and Farrer is exposed. He finds a double, though. A great pickup from him. The FAMAS coming into play. The 1v1. And I have, you know, heard whispers in the wind of the FAMAS coming into league play. Some players preferring it. I don't really know if it's a meme yet or not, but that was a great little double there from him with that FAMAS. FAMAS? I don't know, how do you want to say it?
I think it's FAMAS. I'm not totally sure. I just know it's a French weapon, and I'm personally not a fan of it, but who knows? I'm a veteran at this point. Maybe I'm just too old-fashioned and not seeing the new meta, but Not a huge fan. I think if people start using the AS Val on top of that, I might just quit.
I mean, P90 was in a game the other day with I think it was an Air 404 match. You know, these
Don't remind me.
the new blood is bringing in fresh perspectives on some guns that maybe the old hats have written off. I love to see it. Again, the variety that has been brought in with Season 11 has been fun as heck to watch. I've been having a great time spectating these games and casting matches on both this channel and on our Twitch channels. And if you don't know, the VRML does lots of live streams. We have several different leagues. Pavlov has begun casting, so if you do want to catch some Pavlov games, you're going to want to go and follow Pavlov_VRML on Twitch. You're also going to want to follow Echo Arena, one of our most popular leagues in the VRML. Tons of people playing in there. Just had a huge Season 3 finale. I am very much looking forward to Season 4. Obviously, Season 11 here, the best Onward, frankly, that I've spectated, and I think several casters would agree with me on that. And I can't wait till we get to the finals here, where ultimately we will get down to a best of 5, and the champion will be crowned the best of Season 11. They'll get the prizes from all of our sponsors, which we do love to shout out, but don't have time for since the next round has begun, and we are getting into a hot objective, Theta.
This is a fantastic objective. So many highlight reel moments on this objective, and I think it's just because there's so much potential for explosives in this north stairwell area. Lots of multi-kills with grenades, lots of very spicy gun exchanges. So I always like to hang out here as a caster and just watch the action unfold. Although it looks like both teams, they're watching the north corridor, but nobody's really going for it yet. Although, as I say that, Toxic Boss coming around the corner.
Oh.
And he gets flashed by Naoko.
You know, information. The flash is information for these teams. You don't see anything happen off of it. You don't see any pushing, but now Naoko knows that there's someone thinking about pushing this corner, and at the same time, Strive knows someone's on the stairs because you don't get a flash up to that corner without being close. You can see Toxic's looking for the pick. You just can't quite find it because the stairwell defensive position is a finicky one, and Toxic knows the weaknesses. A push and apply the pressure. Make that stairwell useless, and ultimately Naoko trying to drop back gets picked off.
We own north stairs, north alley.
And the big vulnerability with this objective is if you drop these two defenders who are left on objective, there's a pretty substantial rotation that has to happen for these other two southern defenders. And if you can do this fast enough, there's a big hole for a cap to come out.
Yep. Yeah, and this is one of those objectives where pinching it from multiple angles works best. You know, it truly is a staple to a lot of the objectives on this map. And you can see Pizachu and Ferrer taking control of this south entryway. They are trying to continue to push up, and usually you invest a few defenders here to hold from this, and you can see they do have Pig on PC there. He's on the hunt. Ferrer seems to have ID'd this defensive angle, though. And yeah, Pig doesn't last long in the train. Down he goes. The next up is going to be Kittens. And then we get down to those final two, and it's going to be tough when you got two coming in from stairs and two pushing in from the south. Oh, three.
That's sort of the beauty of the pinch, as you were saying, because if you get even a couple of picks in the north, oh, and Bezichu finishes Pig on PC. But if you get a couple picks in the north, what ends up happening is a lot of these southern defenders will rotate back to objective, and if you have people in the south, like Strive has right now, you pick them off as they run back. So they have basically no choice but to either get capped on or get shot on the defensive side.
Drive just on the hunt here. They've got a wonderful setup for this approach, and Kitten is going to be a tough position to get rid of. He's blended in well to the dark coverage, and as I do say that, but he's tucked up right against that light. Maybe using the shadows to his advantage to some extent. He's certainly still hard to identify in this doorway, but if STR1VE have done their homework, this is a spot you check. This is a position that you make sure. And I'm hearing some comms come in from Kitten. That's information that Lonwick can use.
Boy. Let's see. Yeah, Lonwick and Bezichu and Ferrer coming in from the south. This, based on the lack of movement I've been seeing in the north, I'm assuming they're timing this. They're waiting for some kind of signal.
Asquin's in such a dangerous position now, too. He's so exposed. And unfortunately, Blaze is doubling up on coverage. They're both watching these north stairs, and it's just going to leave this south entry really open. Maybe they're relying on Kitten, I suppose. He is still, like I said, up there. Still haven't gotten rid of him, but Bezichu seems to be pretty wary of someone defending from that doorway.
We need to move in. One is on the tracks on the right side. Best.
Clear.
There, you push out. Push out. I'm smoking this side. Go to the other side.
Good double, but the push is timed up, like you said. They've gotten one, and there's the second. Zero tries to defend and peeks out. Toxic challenges and finds the kill. STR1VE with 3 up. Lock in a lead here on map 2 yet again.
Yeah, and I could hear the guys on the north stair more or less saying wait for the signal. So
right.
Yeah, they were coordinating that for sure. And well executed. They got very, very close to the objective on both sides and just sort of strangled that defense until it couldn't fight back. So we're seeing, like you were mentioning before, we're seeing some real like veteran level moves out of these brand new teams. And to be able to do that against Blaze too is just very impressive.
Well, there's a lot of factors to be put in here to play. First time getting cast, they're put up into the venue stage. They get to get out to more, you're put up in front of more eyes. You're on all of the platforms that VRML can put content on, and including venues, which is, a great space to watch games if you don't know. Download the app on your Quest or Quest 2, and you can watch these matches on a massive movie screen with a bunch of your friends in the same space. It's a really cool place to sort of do watch parties and hang out with your buds when you watch these matches, and kind of there's a bunch of little emotes and different interactions you can do when you're in there. I highly recommend checking it out if you have a Quest or Quest 2. It's a great little space to watch the games, and it's been really great to have our matches broadcast there. It's really opened up to a lot of new people just because there's so many folks coming in and checking out the Quest and what it has to offer, and you often find people that don't even know what these games are, what Echo Arena or Onward is, and I think that's the real beauty of being live to that venue's audience, but also obviously a place that you can congregate and have a good time and hang out with your friends in VR. It's really a good space to get a little bit of that social dose, if you will. And that's my spiel on venues. Round 2 has begun, Theta. Round 2, round 3, 4, math. Woo!
Yeah, I need to try out venues. We're doing the venues today and tomorrow, so I can't do it this weekend. But one of these weekends, I'm going to put the headset on and do that.
Again, the toxic volatility of this objective usually leads in highlights and chaos on this corner. Nauko is going for the highlights. Can't quite lock in the second piece, but does get one. Fair is going to follow up a confirm nade onto Nauko. They'll finish him off, and an even Steven 4v4.
Yeah, even little things like that, again, just you can see how quickly these teams are learning. A lot of teams would just go up and run to shoot for that confirm, but he knew better than that. He stayed on the lower end of the stairwell and tossed that grenade up for the confirm instead.
again, it's understanding the weaknesses of a position, and Farah knows that if he pushes up there, he's vulnerable to a prone. It's a good, solid way of holding against this aggression of the stairwell is to prone and get that, you know, late angle. Really force the player to be fully exposed and get your shot off. And you can see even as Farah pushes up, he's checking for that prone, and now as he's cleared it, going to continue to advance. I wonder what the play is from here. Simply because you can see Blaze is still waiting in this alleyway. To the point of what Strive was doing, this is the same thing. Pasquin and Pig are just holding until they're going to push up from this north side, but they're just not as far forward and don't have as much control.
They're following roughly the same playbook, as you mentioned, just some in the north, some in the south, although you can see if you look at the map, there's way more spacing between them than on Strive's attack. It's starting to get a little closer between Kit, Mittens, and Zero. They're next to each other now, but near team kill in the south.
Not exactly what you want to see, but doesn't come to fruition, and it takes some time here for Blaze to work themselves up through the south side. And that's ultimately what we got to keep the eye on. We got to watch Zero and this trio push through, because that's going to be, well, the indicator of the pace. And as Zero goes down, that pace is going to be slowed up just a touch more.
Son of a bitch, I'm so sorry. Panic.
And to your point of team kills, almost another one. Coming in here, the horseshoe really proving to be a confusing element for the Blaze offense. But all three of them are now here and have control of this side. Kitten, I think, almost gets shot again by Pig, but nobody pulls the trigger, and that's something that does require, I mean, it's something that you got to practice, the trigger discipline. It's tough in this game because they don't have name tags, they don't have lasers, they don't have outlines. There's no indicator other than what you see and the color of the uniform. And on a quick glance, it's tough to identify if you're not very familiar with the game.
And if you're used to playing a game like, I don't know, Counter-Strike or something like that, where you just have tons of information to work with in your HUD, this is a totally different experience. You don't have, like you said, any information to work with aside from what you see and hear. And that makes team kills an unfortunate reality of this game. And smoke on the horseshoe north side. There isn't anybody watching that north side horseshoe, but they do have to deal with Bezichu on that north rail if they decide to come around that side.
Yeah, and also Lon Wick in a bit of a precarious position here. He's getting more and more behind this three-man offense, and if he pops up here, could find a couple of big kills.
Yeah, they are not ready for this Lon Wick flank right now.
Now they are.
Yeah. And
now they are.
And now they only have a minute, and they have to hesitate because they know they've got somebody behind them. So run onto that rail, potentially get picked if you don't clear it, or stay in place and get flanked. This is not a good place to be.
Yeah, this is the winning strat here for Strive. This is something they can work with. The suppressive fire from Lon Wick just forces Pig into a bit of a exposed position. His ankles get bit by the bullets of the LMG, and Pasquin can't find the fly buzzing around him. Maybe he'll get the kill here. He does, and we're into a 1v3, but 30 seconds. The timer ticked for him, and again, so much room to clear here.
Well, and 3-up defense for Strive. Lon Wick just doing boatloads of damage on that flank. And Blaze is now looking at potentially losing this match if they drop one more round. And
Yeah.
that would be quite an upset. That would be an 8-1 so far match outcome if Strive wins this for a, again, 58-16 underdog.
It's crazy. People, I mean, again, people just don't know what this team is. They don't know Strive. There's been zero coverage. New teams, it's a bit of a toss-up if they get covered at the start of a season, and then usually when we get deeper into the season, we tend to focus up into that top 20. And, this Strive team is just cruising up through the ranks, and now they're beating Blaze with a commanding lead here, 3-1 on Subway, and they do go on the offense, but I don't even count them out on the offense. The coordination that they've shown works well when they can attack.
Indeed. Yeah, like I said before, Strive Gaming on the radar for everybody at like the Diamond tier, potentially even Master tier at this point, because this has just been a masterclass, and you just don't see this with, it's starting to happen more in Season 11 with all these new teams, but it's still historically very unusual to see a new team take on a team that's been around for 7 seasons like that and have this kind of lead.
We're into a bit of a tech pause, hopefully not too long. I don't see an official timeout coming through yet. And ideally, we'll get that 5th from Blaze back into lobby so we can continue the action. But if anything, Blaze need a little bit of a pause here. They need to take a little bit of a breather. And, well, this is something. We are seeing a active sub come through right now. Prefontaine subbing in for Pig on PC. Hey, this is... It's certainly a way to use a reservist. It's a ton of pressure to put onto Prefontaine. You're basically putting out a last-ditch effort to sort of change your roster and bring some momentum into the team. But I wonder if it's going to be enough. 3-1 right now. Strive just a round away from ultimately climbing the ladder a good bit here. As again, they are ranked 20 versus ranked 13 on that ladder, and so a lot of good points going to go towards them. They're going to climb up a good bit here. If they can lock in this final round, we'll dive into the action here for round number 5.
And Naoko running into the tunnels with not just 1, but 2 flashlights. Yeah, and he has left his main rifle sitting on this box, ostensibly to draw fire and attention, and he has left himself with only his pistol. I thought for sure we'd see the pistol come out a little earlier, but I'm happy to see that he's using it at some point.
Interestingly enough, what discipline from these teams, but Toxic doesn't shoot it. The indicator is that you see the flashlight, something's being pointed at you. You better take the shots at it. But instead, they survey very cautiously and avoid making the initial approach down this tunnel just in case, and send Lonwick around to cut through and ultimately have the quick peek onto the corner.
And there's a C4 right next to Lonwick. Oh, and he spots it and deactivates.
There was a C4, it's down. I shot the C4.
Tunnel, he peeked.
Yeah, and again, the flashlight and indicator. Off those shots, you saw Naoko looking for a peek, but Toxic had the overwatch. And again, great coordination from Strive. They're not leaving gaps in their coverage, even when they're pushing up. Toxic to be holding there saves that entryway, saves that kill from coming through. And now they have command of the upstairs, simply because both Crimson and Bijou have cleared out this defense and pushed up. They also have command of the underground. You can hear the call to move up off of hearing those shots and hearing the confirm of kills. And now Blazer down to 3. And they are really close to losing this series here.
Well, I would say that the nice thing about this for them is if you're going to be down to 3v5 to defend an objective, this is probably the best one for it because this has a very isolated objective area. You can defend it with 1 or 2 people and you can fend off a whole team. Now, the question is, are we going to continue to see more of this very crisp timing and coordination from Strive Gaming? Because if we do, that's going to be a serious problem for Blaze. But if Blaze can find some way to slow them down, they have a chance.
They really got to get rid of Naoko. That's going to be the challenge. Lonwick crosses and Toxic holds the angle, and now, just like that, Naoko's lost control. Doesn't hold, has to drop back simply because a lot of utility can get dumped here. Nades, flashes, anything is essentially effective if Naoko doesn't drop off, and exposes himself to a peek from behind, so Pasquin has to make sure he's covering his angles. Yeah, and to your point, they've got the coverage, but if Strive are coordinated on their entry, this gets hard. This is a three-pronged entryway. Fair on these stairs, Bizachu and Crimson on theirs, and the duo Toxic and Longwick coming in. And honestly, this is what I kind of expected to see from this team, the synced up, coordinated push onto objective. They haven't quite executed it yet, but it's coming.
Yeah, really interesting that Toxic Boss and Lonwick actually picked up that flashlighted weapon and put it out, ostensibly to blind any defenders that run at them. That's I don't think I've ever seen somebody reverse that before. Yeah, and Fair on the north side looks like he's getting in position to stage up, and then Bezichu, Crimson King are waiting. Toxic Boss and Lonwick toss a smoke. That may very well be the signal.
I would think, but Fair is dropped off. I think he's just kind of getting a little extra cleared. Naoko and Toxic both go out for the hunt, but interestingly enough, a rifle beats a pistol.
Indeed it does. And Pasquin picks off Toxic Boss. So now 2v4. Now the south has been completely cleared out. It's all up to Kitten Mittens in the north. They know where he is now, and that is match.
A methodical entryway from this Strive team. You look at the KD, 7 from Toxic, 4 from Fair, 3 from Bizachu, 6 from Lonwick. A great job of that team executing on there. I mean, geez, what again? Just a solid performance to come in from this Strive Gaming team, and again, surprising. I think us here at the desk and probably everyone at home watching. No one would anticipate that Strive would come away with the W on Blaze, but they have, and now map 3 is going to take us to Sand, and I'm very interested to see how this map ends up shaking out, simply because Sand is very fast action paced, and we know we hyped up Blaze for being good in close quarters, but with the way Cargo went, I think Strive might be looking at a 3-map series win here.
Indeed. I think Blaze was trying to, as we talked about prior to the match, really focus on CQB, which is going to be their strength in most cases. And Strive got 4-0 on the most CQB map in the game. So, yeah, not to say they can't still win this map. If you get a 2-1, that's always better for your MMR, and I'm sure they're thinking about that. But at the same time, Strive Gaming has not slowed down at all on any of these maps, CQB or not. So, going to be an uphill battle for them. Strive Gaming holding their own for sure.
Yeah, and there's other maps in the pool that are obviously, they put you at range. Stuff like Snow Peak, Quarantine, Downfall, all available. Well, actually, maybe not. I don't know if Quarantine is in the map pool, is it?
I think Quarantine is right now. I'd have to double check. Though.
I think those are all in the map pool. And those are all long-range maps that maybe Blaze could have gone to sort of to just see if that's going to be the thing that'll get them the advantage against Strive. And I'm sure a lot of folks at home wanted to see what Strive can do on some range maps as well, but for now it's going to be all CQB in this series, and Map number 3 on sand is going to kick off with Strive on defense and Blaze on offense. Let's just get into it. I want to see how this one shakes out.
Also, if you call that out, I can also push up a little bit on the top. And
fuck. Oh no.
Wow, and already just a plethora of smokes coming out.
Yeah,
And
plethora.
Zero's on objective. Zero's capping right now.
Wow, he's gotten there. He puts it in. Toxic can't shut him down. I didn't even see Zero enter in, and that's the beauty of this map. It is wild. It's wild. It's so close quarters, and to the point. I mean, we were tracking the entryway from Naukau, pistol in hand, pad out as well. He was looking for the kill, and I thought it wasn't going to work. The double kill comes in, denies the entry. The smoke's not quite where they needed to be, but close, but not quite, which does let those 2 kills come through. The distraction's enough, though, and they get their 3rd up onto objective, so they just had to send 3 at it. And, I mean, barely, though, right? Still, he died as the code comes through, but Blaze have 2.
That was wild. Did that even hit 30 seconds? I was just so focused on watching that, I didn't watch the clock, but that was a quick round.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that is certainly maybe something to take a look at, potentially in the record books, so to speak. But yeah, crazy fast cap from Blaze. And again, that's, I think, maybe more what I anticipated on Cargo. But how do you, even on Cargo, it's not this close quarters. I don't know. Not sure what the missing element for Blaze was today. Maybe it was just the fact that Strive came in and played so well. You know, it's hard to be prepared against a team that you really don't know. And for Strive to come, I mean, I think that's probably the truth of it, right? If you're in Blaze's shoes, imagine coming up against Strive right now.
It's true. And these teams, because there's so many and we just can't cast every game, some of these teams are rising up the ranks really fast and they get really good with 0 casts. And so, yeah, like you said, Blaze shows up and they're like, all right, we don't know anything about these players, but we're facing them this week, so we have to figure something out. And it can be really hard to do that in the middle of a match, to try and figure out how to beat a team.
We got to cut the gameplay here because the round has started, and that could mean it could end as soon as it starts. Already kills coming through, but this time Blaze is taking control, and I think maybe Strive is second-guessing their choice of... Oh, no, this was Blaze's map pick. This was Blaze's map pick, and so that's certainly making more sense here. Rez comes through, the confirm on the Toxic, and Striver down into a 2v5.
And Naoko using a bolt-action sniper rifle now. And never fails to entertain in matches, I'll tell you that much.
Smoking repair.
And it didn't kill Farrer. He tagged him in the leg, and Farrer doesn't go down, so the bolt action not paying off. The flashes do pay off, though. The aggression comes through. Zero finds 1. Bezo looks for the refrag. Can't quite find it, but he is now ID'd, and the push is coming. Blaze are thirsty for this 3rd map, and you can see Naukau getting aggressive, and he misses his shot. Again, the bolt action. There it is.
Oh.
Finally gets him a kill. It almost didn't, but he does. Thread the needle, and Blaze up 3-0.
Yeah, first pistols and now bolt-action rifles. Plus a 20-30 second cap. This map has been a little insane, if I do say so myself.
What sand is, especially, I mean, again, we've only had 2 rounds and it's been a minute, only a minute. This next objective also pretty crazy. I think there's a little more defensive setup time, so you shouldn't see as quite hectic a rollout, but still opportunity for kills right away in the midfield on this center building that I anticipate we'll see. And I can't imagine Blaze take their foot off the gas now. And so if you're Strive, really just got to be ready for Blaze to come sprinting at you.
Yep. Yeah, Blaze, I think, smells blood in the water, and they know that, all right, this is our map pick. this is our play style. We're going to bring the heat now and potentially walk away at least with a 1-2 instead of a 3-0.
Right. Yeah, and I think we'll eventually be having folks tuning in from the other match that was live, another very high-tier matchup, Error 404 and Peacekeepers, certainly an exciting one. I'm sure a lot of people were interested in, and they'll be coming into this, scratching their heads, won't they, Theta? Because, again, I don't think anybody predicted this score line. You look at the votes, which we have a voting system. If you are a member of the VRML, you've registered on VRML.com, you can put your votes in who you think is going to win. You can also vote on who you want to see get casted. That helps us sort of dictate what matches get broadcast when. Not guarantees, but certainly gives us an idea of what people want to see. And it's a great little way to interact with everybody, really. You can see who voted on what, and ultimately there is a connoisseur rank. I think we've even given some prizes to our top connoisseur voters. So a little something to work for there, but again, I don't think anyone's expected this. Round number 3 kicking off, and they're getting aggressive up on this top floor.
I just want to point out on camera 2, Naoko waiting with a taser. I don't know if I've ever seen this in a league match myself, but wow, if he tags somebody with that, he can hack the tablet, and that would be pretty spicy to see in a league match.
That's what he was doing on the entry in the last objective, too. It wasn't a pistol, now that I think about it. It was that taser. The taser is technically a one-hit kill, and so it is pretty nice. And Blaze are on objective.
Oh, Aspen's on objective. This is a cap. This is a cap.
No one can get here in time. Crimson doesn't push up. Lonwick doesn't swing out. And Strive let go of a map in what otherwise was a commanding series win against Blaze. And now I'm sat here scratching my head because I don't know what to think at the end of this series. Did Blaze have a fluke on Cargo and Subway, or is Strive just sort of let go on that last map?
I'm not sure either, but wow, I think that concluded in what, 5 minutes? That was a quick map, to say the least. And yeah, Blaze came out with guns blazing on that one. And yeah, I think they're probably going to be looking for some footage to review after that, see how maybe they can apply that same kind of pressure on the other maps. But great job to STR1VE-GAMING getting the 2-1 against a really well-established team.
Yeah, I mean, they are climbing the ladder here. This is, I think, their 5th game now in a win streak that they've been culminating up to, and so just truly a awesome performance from Strive today. We're going to have to keep an eye on this team in the future, and if you're wondering if there's more action to come, there is tomorrow. I recommend you get on this Venues app if maybe you were thinking of popping in today and didn't. And tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. PST, we will be casting another high-octane matchup. It is going to be the Newbies versus Friendly Fire. And if you want to sort of see, again, what the... at this point, you know, I say middle of the tier, but it's ranked 9th versus ranked 15th. I don't know what to expect here. It's going to be exciting to tune into, simply because, again, it's high-tier teams battling it out, and when you tune into those kind of matchups, you get good back and forth. And we had it here today. Well, I guess just at the map capacity, Strive ultimately coming out on top, and to your point, a great performance from them overall. A huge shout out to all of our folks tuning in today. We haven't had much of a break, as this series went pretty quick. But I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors. If you don't know who they are, they come together to provide prizing for our ultimate tournament champions. At the end of the season, we have the top 8 from the ladder duke it out, and the finalist comes out on top with some pretty sizable goodie bag at this point. It's continued to grow over the course of the seasons. But our sponsors are ProTube VR. If you don't know what ProTube is, they are a mount system that you can buy that helps stabilize your aim in real life, so your in-game aim is pinpoint accurate. Highly recommend them. We have Rebuff Reality. They have a great all kinds of great accessories that you can attach to your headset, battery packs. We also have, speaking of things to attach to your headset, VR Cover, a great cover to apply to the front of your face mask that ultimately amplifies the comfort of the headset. Honestly, in my opinion, 5 to 10 fold. We also have Fixed Gaming, which helps us with licensing for the music that you hear here on stream. Haptics, which is great for the haptic feedback. It's a haptic feedback vest if you want to feel the bullets. Cyber Shoes if you want to actually run in the game. I mean, all of these I say this every time, but if you had the full VRML package, you'd be the most immersed you could possibly be, Theta. I mean, I don't think you would be running, feeling the impact, the comfort. You'd have a haptic feedback. I mean, it would be insane.
Yeah, that's pretty much the ultimate in VR right now.
It truly is. And so a big shout out to all of our sponsors that come together to again offer a great prize for our finalists. And a shout out to everyone that has been tuning in today and hanging out and watching. It's been, again, a great series, and we do appreciate everybody on Venues, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch across all of the platforms for tuning in today. But that will be it from us here on the desk. My name has been Nightfire with 2 E's, my co-caster Theta with just 1, if you can believe that. We'll see you all tomorrow at 12:30. Do not miss it for another Venues broadcast. And until then, bye-bye.